Hello students, so today we will be starting with a new topic. The new topic name is executive. This chapter is present in the class 11 book of political science, and today we will be understanding what do you mean by the term executive. So we have understood about legislature, about executive, about judiciary. You all have studied about it in the class 10 book, and today we will be understanding the meaning of executive here. So every formal group has a body of those who function as the chief administrator or the executives of an organization. Some office holder decide the policies and rules and then regulation, and then some office holder implement those decisions in actual day-to-day functioning of the organization. Now, if I talk about executive means execution of the law. There will be chief administrators who will be executing the particular law, and they are the executives of the organization itself. Also, on the other hand, there are office holders who will be holding the policies, and then they will be executing. In the day-to-day operation, only those laws, those policies are being implemented. Also, the word executive means a body of person that looks after the implementation of rules and regulation. The organ of the body primarily looks after the function of implementation and administration. Now, if I talk about the word executive, it means the body of the person who are part of a particular organization. They will be implementing laws, they will be implementing regulation in day-to-day functioning of an organization. Also, on the other hand, it looks upon the function of the implementation and the on the implementation and the administration. Administration means the office. The office, the organization where the rules, the regulation are being implemented. Here you see we have understood about the legislature, the executive, the judiciary. If I talk about the legislature means all about the rules and regulation, the policies which are about to be decided. And here the execution means the laws, the rules are being executed, which are being implemented, and then comes the judiciary. The judiciary comes under the law and the order. Means after the execution of the policy, now this will be under the law and the order, which means the constitution is an example of the judiciary itself, or you can say the the Chief Justice of India, the lawyers. These are all examples of the judiciary, which means the law, the court. Also, executive is the branch of government responsible for the implementation of law and policies adopted by the legislature. Now, if I talk about executive, it is the branch of the organization where there is implementation of laws and policies that are being adopted by the legislature. Yes. First, the legislature will be finding out or will be deciding the laws and the policy, and then it will be executed by the executive itself, which is the body of the organization. Also, the executive is often involved in framing of the policies. The official designation of the executive varies from country to country. Now, executive has the main function in framing of the policies, and also if I talk about executive, it varies from country to country. Some countries have president while others have chancellors. The executive branch is not just about president, prime minister, and minister. It also extends to the administrative machinery. Now, if I talk about different countries have president, different countries have vice chancellors. But in our country, there is president, there is prime minister. Also, there are other cabinet ministers. So it varies from country to country. Also, on the other hand, it extends to the administrative machinery. Very, very important. It doesn't only comprises the minister, but also it comprises the administrative machinery. In the administrative machinery, also those policies will be implemented or not will be coming under the administrative machinery. Now, heads are comprised of political executive. Those responsible for day-to-day administration are called the permanent executive. Now, the heads are comprised as the political executive. Now, if I talk about the heads, they are called to be as the political executive. The heads are comprised to be the political executive here, and those responsible. Now, those who are responsible for the day-to-day administration are known as permanent executives. The heads are the political executive, and the day-to-day implementation of the laws that comes under the administration are considered to be permanent executives. So I hope you have understood about the meaning of the executive. Now here we will be understanding about the different types of executive, very, very important. So the USA has a presidential system and executive powers are in the hands of the president. Canada has a parliamentary democracy with the constitutional monarchy where Queen Elizabeth Two is the former chief of state and the prime minister is the head of the government. Now, if I talk about both the countries, in the USA there is presidential rule. The executive is actually under the president itself. The head of the country is the president, and all the executive powers are under the president itself. Now, here in Canada there is the monarchy rule. The monarchy rule is there, which is under now King Charles III, under King Charles III. And here, if I talk about prime minister is the head of the country. Now, in France, both the president and the prime minister are a part of the semi-presidential system. The president appoints the prime minister as the minister but cannot dismiss them as they are responsible to the parliament. Now, if I talk about France, in France, there is both president and both the prime minister will be heading the country. Also, on the other hand, the president appoints the prime minister. If I talk about our country, our prime minister actually appoints the president in our country, but here the president will be appointing the prime minister and both will be heading the country. So these are the executive powers of the France itself. Now, if I talk about France, it is a semi-presidential system. Very, very important. France has a semi-presidential system. Very, very important. France has a semi-presidential system. Now, Japan has a parliamentary system with the emperor as the head of the state and the prime minister as the head of the government. And the prime minister as the head of the government. Now, if I talk about Japan, Japan has a parliamentary system where the king, or you can say the emperor, is the formal chief of the state, and here the prime minister is the head of the country. There is monarchy system, but the monarchy system is what to say? It's formal. Yes, it is the head of the state. You can say the head of the state and the prime minister as the head of the government. Yes, very, very important. Again, I am repeating. Now, in Japan, the emperor is considered to be the head of the state. Here, the emperor is considered to be the head of the state in the Japan, and the prime minister is considered to be the head of the government, which means the emperor will not be looking after the government, but the prime minister will be looking after the government. This is very much an important point in Japan, which has a parliamentary system, and here in France, it is semi-presidential system. Also, Italy has a parliamentary system with the president as the formal head of the state and the prime minister as the head of the government. Now, if I talk about Italy, Italy has a parliamentary system where the president is the head of the state and prime minister is the head of the government. Also, Russia has a semi-presidential system where president is the head of the state and the prime minister is the head of the government. Now, Russia has semi-presidential system where president is the head of the state and prime minister is the head of the government. And here Germany has a parliamentary system in which the president is the ceremonial head of the state and the chancellor is the head of the government. Now, if I talk about Germany here, in Germany, if I talk about president is the ceremonial head of the state, which means sometimes the president will be coming and he will be becoming the head of the state if there is any occasion, if there is any kind of ceremony. And here chancellor, very much important. Chancellor is the head of the government, which whatever the implementations of the government will be under the chancellor itself. So here we have understood about the different countries, what kind of presidential rule and what kind of parliamentary system is under different countries itself. So again, I am repeating, in France there is semi-presidential system, in Japan, in Italy there is parliamentary system, and also if I talk about Russia is the semi-presidential system. So I hope you have understood, and here Germany has the parliamentary system. So these are the things you have to keep in mind. And here in a presidential system, the president is the head of the state as well as the head of the government. Now here we will be understanding about the different types of executive. What are the different types of executive? First comes, in a presidential system, the president is the head of the state as well as the head of the government. In this system, the office of the president is very powerful, both in theory and practice. Countries with such system include the United States, Brazil, and most nations in Latin America. Now, under the presidential system, the president is considered to be the head of the government, also is considered to be the head of the state, which means president is all powerful. Whatever the executive powers are there will all be under the president itself. And president is both powerful in theory and practice. Now, for example, countries like United States of America, some parts of Latin America, there also Brazil also comes under the presidential rule, or you can say the presidential system. In a parliamentary system, the prime minister is the head of the government. Both parliamentary systems have a president or a monarch who is the nominal head of the state. In such a system, the role of the president or monarch is primarily ceremonial, and prime minister along with cabinet wields effective power. Countries with such systems such as Germany, Italy, Japan, United Kingdom as well as Portugal. Now if I talk about the parliamentary system, in the parliamentary system, prime minister is known to be the head of the government. In the parliamentary system, prime minister is known to be the head of the government, and president or the monarchy are known to be as the nominal part. They are known to be as the nominal part. They will be having the president, but they are nominal. They will be having the emperor, but they are nominal. So, under the parliamentary system, the prime minister is actually the main head of the government itself. Also, on the other hand, in such a system, there is the president's role, there is the monarchy role or the emperor role, but they are all nominal. They are nominal in characteristic, first of all. And second of all, the prime minister with cabinet having effective power. Now, there are other cabinet minister. They will be having effective power in the implementation of the law. For example, our country has the parliamentary system where the prime minister is the head of the country itself. Now countries. Now what are the countries here? Germany, Italy, Portugal, United Kingdom. They are all under the parliamentary system. A semi-presidential system has both a president and a prime minister, but unlike the parliamentary system, the president may possess significant day-to-day power. In this system, it is possible that sometimes the president and the prime minister may belong to the same party and sometimes may belong to two different parties and thus opposed to each other. Now, here in a semi-presidential system, prime minister is also considered to be all-powerful and president is also considered to be all-powerful. Sometimes they will be in the same party, but at times they will be in a different party and will be opposing each other. This is the example of the semi-presidential system. Also, on the other hand, both are having significant day-to-day power. Both will be possessing, the president and the prime minister. Both will be possessing significant day-to-day power. Here, example here, countries with such systems: France, Russia, and Sri Lanka. France, Russia, and Sri Lanka are under the semi-presidential system. So today we have understood about the presidential system, then comes the parliamentary system, and then comes the semi-presidential system. I hope so you have understood about the different types of executives. Now, we will be understanding about the parliamentary executive in India. Now, what are the parliamentary executive in India? First of all, when the Constitution of India was written, India already had some experience of running the parliamentary system under the Acts of 1919 and 1935. The makers of the Indian Constitution wanted to ensure that the government would be sensitive to public expectation and would be responsible and accountable. Now, if I talk about the Constitution of India, when the Constitution of India was coming into inauguration, or you can say was coming into existence, during that time, India was very much experienced regarding the parliamentary system. Like under the Acts of 1990 and 1935, it has made the other political parties very experienced regarding the Constitution of India, first of all. And second of all, it has been said by the political parties that the government of India must be accountable to each and every citizen, must be responsible to each and every citizen, which means they want to make the country a very powerful democratic country. And our India is in a parliamentary system. Also, the other alternative to the parliamentary executive was the presidential form of government. Now, the other alternative of the parliamentary executive, is the presidential form of government. Very, very important. Other alternative to the parliamentary executive was the presidential form of government. Why? Now you see. But the presidential executive puts much emphasis on the president, the chief executive, as a source of all executive power. Though in parliamentary form there are many mechanisms that ensure executive to be answerable to and controlled by the legislature or the people's representative. Now, if I talk about the presidential executive, under the presidential executive, much preference will be given to the head of the state, that is the president. The president will be controlling all the resources of a particular country. Also, on the other hand, there will be chief executive who will be managing the executive powers. So, though in the parliamentary form there are many mechanisms, now under the parliamentary form, there is president, but the prime minister will be the main head. But the mechanism is very much complex. There are several mechanisms under the parliamentary form of government. But in the Presidential form of government, only the president will be the head of the government and the head of the state itself. So as a result, main mechanism to ensure executive to be answerable to and controlled by the legislature or the people executive. Now, under the parliamentary form of government, the executive must be answerable to the people's issue. You can say they must be accountable to the people itself, must be responsible to the people itself. Whatever the people have demands, they will be all according to the people's representative, which means under the parliamentary form of government, the people are considered to be the representative of the particular government. I hope so this is clear. So the constitution adopted the parliamentary system of executive for the government both at the national and the state level. According to the system, there is president who is the formal head of the state of India and the prime minister and the council of ministers who runs the government at the national level. Very, very important. Now, why our country adopted the parliamentary system of government? Why our country adopted the parliamentary system of government? So that there should be not a maximum rulership to the president, not the maximum rulership under the president itself, and the prime minister will be the head of the government. The prime minister will be the head of the government, and the president or the other cabinet minister will be the nominal head or the formal head of the government itself. Also, on the other hand, the executive powers will be under the prime minister itself, the president itself, and also under the other cabinet minister, so that each and every minister can be accountable to the people, to the issues of the people itself. Each and every cries, or you can say the demands of the people, will be heard under the parliamentary form of government. Also, on the other hand, the parliamentary form of government is spreaded at the national level as well and also at the state level as well, so that the implementation of the policies and laws must be in a proper way. Also, on the other hand, at the state level, the executive comprises the government and the chief minister and the council of ministers. Now, if I talk about the state level, at the state level, the executive comprises, at the state level, the executive comprises the governor, the chief minister, and also the council of ministers. They will be comprising the governor, the chief ministers, and also the council of ministers. This is also very, very important. The governor, the chief minister, and the council of ministers will be come under the parliamentary form of government. So I hope so this is clear. Now, the Constitution of India vests the executive power of the Union formally in the president. In reality, president exercises three powers through the council of ministers headed by the prime minister. The president is elected for a period of 5 years, but there is no direct election by the people for the office of the president. Now, if I talk about the Constitution of India, the Constitution of India actually vests the executive power of the Union formally in the president. You see, who is the head of the who is the head of the parliamentary form of government? Yes, the prime minister is there, though the president is the formal chief, or you can say the formal head of the state itself. Also, on the other hand, there will be other council of ministers that will be headed by the prime minister himself, which means both the president. If I talk about the president will also be exercising the power, and also there will be council of ministers that will be exercising the power, but this will all be coming under the prime minister itself. The prime minister will be heading everything. The president is elected for a period of 5 years. Here, the president is elected for a period of 5 years. The president will be elected for a period of 5 years. Prime minister is also for the period of 5 years. The president will also be for the period of 5 years. And the president is not directly elected by the people. They are not directly elected by the people, but the president is elected by the prime minister itself. The prime minister will be choosing the president. The president is elected by the MLAs and MPs. This election takes place in accordance with the principle of proportional representation with single transferable vote. Now, if I talk about the president is elected by the MPs and the MLAs. They will be choosing the required president of our particular country, and also the votes are being given according to the proportional representation system. So, proportional representation system. I hope so you have understood about the proportional representation system, which means the votes will be given by the public, and those votes will be divided among different political parties, and those who get the maximum votes, that person will be elected as the next head. So this comes under the proportional representation system. So according with the proportional representation system, only the president is being elected. The Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers have support of the majority in the Lok Sabha, and they are the real executive. Now, if I talk about the Prime Minister and the Council of the Ministers, they are actually the head of the state, and they are considered to be the real executive. They are getting the support. They are getting the majority support, which means they will be getting the majority support in the Lok Sabha. Yes, the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers will be getting the majority support in the Lok Sabha. Also, the President has to follow the advice of the Council of the Minister. Now, if I talk about the President is the formal chief here, and he or she, the President, will be listening to the Council of the Minister, or will be getting support from the Council of the Minister, or will be listening to the advice of the Council of the Minister. So I hope so you have understood about the parliamentary form of government that our country has. Okay, so here we have understood what do you mean by executive, different types of executive, and also we have understood about the parliamentary form of government. So if you want to know any of the courses regarding our institute, you can contact us in this number 863839171, and thank you for watching my video.